So F1, the movie is finally out in theaters. Now, interesting fact over here, the FIA, which is Formula One's governing body, was involved with this movie, had collaborated for this movie. And there actually was a massive bidding war that went through to finally close on who would eventually make this movie. Now, the movie boasts of some great casting crew. The director is Joseph Kosinski, who has earlier made Top Gun Maverick. You obviously have Brad Pitt, you've got Javier Bardem, and a bunch of other very talented actors. So I would say, honestly, very solid casting crew and a lot to expect from this movie. So, well, let's go ahead and see how the movie stacks up. So to give you an idea of how this movie is structured, you have a fictional team, APX, in the F1 world, with everything else being real. And Brad Pitt and Damson Idris are two racers for the APX team. Typically, what you see in an F1 team, one experienced driver, one up-and-coming young driver, the rivalry between, the team dynamics and all of that. So you see all of that, but it's from the lens of a fictional team in an otherwise real world. So you have this dynamic, but then you also have races where you see the likes of Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen interact with these players. And even the commentary kind of addresses them, and you have their cars and you have the official sponsors and the teams like Red Bull and Mercedes and all of that. So that's kind of how they've played it. Now the movie genuinely has a lot working for it, starting out with just the sheer scale of it, right? I think just the way it's been put together, it feels like Netflix's Drive to Survive on steroids. And Joseph Kosinski has done a very good job directing this and putting this whole thing together, where as the audience you aren't bored for a single second. The movie just keeps going on, and it's an action-packed movie. A lot of it is truly badass, cool and slick. But more than that, what I really liked is that the writing of the movie also was very good. It's got a very good screenplay, some very, very good dialogues, and some very good witty humor, especially from the standpoint of Brad Pitt's character. It's a very good blend between the slickness and the badass feel of the F1 world and the drama and emotion to actually drive a story forward and connect the audience to it. Now, in terms of acting, you've got great actors over here, no doubt. But I genuinely liked Brad Pitt's performance in this movie. I think he carries the movie very well on his shoulders. Incredible performance. Javier Bardem was great as well. I also really liked Kerry Condon in this. I think she did a very good job. Very good range, I would say, emotional range that she's portrayed in this movie. The music is composed by Hans Zimmer, and well, no doubt that it is incredible. It just adds so well to the overall world that they've created that you just completely immersed in it throughout the movie. Now, the way this entire movie has been put together is really commendable. Just the different kinds of cameras that have actually been created and certain lenses that have been created for this movie and mounted on different devices. So Apple, which also is, by the way, a producer of this film, went ahead and made a custom onboard camera for the car based on the iPhone and powered it with an A series system on a chip. Sony also did some very cool work and set up to 4 cameras that could capture different angles of the car. And also there were other cameras used in different use cases. But it's been a very interesting process to see how this entire thing was shot. To add to this, the VFX also is very good. It's a very well planned out movie, I would say. Now they've used real F1 cars over here to film this entire movie. And what they'd done was that when the actors were driving these cars, they'd replace the engines of these cars with less powerful engines. So the actors would have more control over these. And that's how they filmed these. So, well, there's definitely a lot that's going for the movie. In terms of negatives, I would genuinely say not a lot. The only thing I would say is that if you look at the story, it's not a crazy unique story. It's a very straightforward rivalry between a newbie who's really passionate, really talented, and a veteran who now has come back to Formula One. So, I mean, pretty much at the beginning of the movie, you exactly know what's going to happen. For the most part, where the dynamics are going to shift and what potential scenes might turn out like. But having said that, it still has some very interesting subplots that keep you hooked throughout. And apart from this, the only other thing I would say that was a little problematic for me was that for Damson Idris's character, they show that he has this manager who keeps kind of pushing him to go to parties and events and social gatherings and all of that. and that takes away from his time as a driver, and the practice he needs to put in, the hours he needs to put into further his craft. The issue I had with these sequences is that most of these just involve the manager taking him to parties where this guy is pretty much doing nothing, right? And what would have been interesting to see is actually what commitments are there for these F1 drivers apart from just racing, right? So actually trying to see what the life would be like in terms of not just partying but also other social commitments, advertisements, promotions, marketing, whatever be it, right? To get a more real glimpse of the life of a driver. But well, on the whole, all things said and done, this is a solid movie. Definitely watch it in IMAX. It is worth watching in IMAX for the visuals, for the sound. And well, on the BMB meter, I'm giving this movie a solid 8.5 out of 10. Have you watched the movie yet? Well, if you have, then do go ahead and drop in a comment. And hey, like always, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more interesting content. Cheers, and I'll see you soon.